Okay, this is the Extralite Cyber Rear SL rear rim brake road hub. This is the regular flanged version of the Cyber Rear SP, which is the straight pull version. Okay, this is made by the Italian company Extralite, based near Milan. So let's have a look at each individual part, see how it's made, see what they've done, look at the engineering, look at the details, and try and figure it all out. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the hub shell. So this is the Extralite Cyber Rear SP hub shell. You've got a 6903 large bearing in the drive side, 6803 in the non-drive side. So in that sense, it's the same as a Tune Mag 170. J-bend spokes will go in here. This is the 24-hole version. You can also get a 20-hole version. This has been machined fairly extensively to cut weight. So in between each spoke hole, they've cut even more space off. The toothed ring screws in to the hub shell, like the Tune one. I challenge you to get this out. Don't recommend it, but you know, if you want to. This is a titanium tooth ring, 7075 aluminium hub shell body. The bearings are pressed in. They have a standard bearing seat with the shoulder machined in to the hub shell. Graphics are laser etched on. It's slightly curved in the middle. It's got an extra bit of material here to deal with the toothed ring and the bearing as well. Yep, so that's very nice. Available in black only, I believe, or sometimes special edition colours. Let's look at the axle. If you've seen the video for the Cyber Front SP, you'll notice that this is a very similar system in that one side has the locating non-adjustable bearing locking system, and the other side is where you put the micro adjuster on and adjust the bearing compression, the bearing preload. That is the micro adjuster. It's slightly bigger than the front one. This is 20mm here, so you need a 20mm spanner to deal with this. The front is a 16mm. It's basically just scaled up. Main difference is on the front, the axle is threaded on the inside, so the end piece screws in. This one, it's threaded on the outside, and this larger end cap screws on there. All right, it's got a lovely warning there saying incorrect greasing can cause hub failure. Strictly follow manual instructions. So you've been told. Enduro 5 ABEC bearing, ABEC 5 bearings, which are hybrid ceramics. Don't get me started on those. That's for another video. You've got this little end piece, which is where the dropout sits. So that's the last piece that goes on when you assemble it. Again, exactly the same as the front hub. Right. Now let's look at the free body, which is pretty interesting. 6803 bearing on both sides. Again, that's the same as the Tune Mag 170 or Mag 150. The difference here is that the Tune has a leaf spring and a pull, whereas this pull system seems precariously strung together with an O-ring. Yeah, I know. It seems a little bit flimsy. However, I've ridden the SP version of this for thousands and thousands of kilometres and never had a problem with this. Here is the drive ring and with the O-ring gunk protector on it. Again, that's pretty standard on very lightweight hubs. These rings, these O-rings, are standard sizes. You can contact Extralite and ask them exactly what size they are, and they'll tell you. So if you do have any issues with these, you can just get some new ones off Amazon or whatever. Very easy to source. There's two pulls here, which seems unusual nowadays. I was under the impression that the accepted best way to have a pull system was 3, because like a 3-legged stool, you'll always have one leg on the floor at the same time. With 2, you never, there's a chance that there'll be some sort of engagement issues. However, I suppose if you've machined it properly, it's going to be okay. So yeah, two pulls there rather than 3 or 6 as some dudes seem to go for, which is a bit weird. Okay, yeah, so that's it. This is a very lightweight material. I believe it's 7075 again. So when you use this in time, you're going to get these little divots and nicks and so on in here, which you'll have to file off. That's standard for lightweight hubs. And that's it really for the components. It's very simple. Again, let's put it together so you can see how it works. And then we can talk about the good points, bad points, issues, and more details. So first, we're going to assemble the free body with the axle. All right. Now, this part sits here and then screws in. So first of all, you pop it up like that. That sits through. Give it a bit of a tap. Push it all the way through. Then get this end piece here. Screw it on. It comes all lubed up. Again, this hub's brand new. Never been touched, never been ridden, never been used. This screws all the way down. There we go. Now there's a bit of a gap there, so we'll pull that back. Okay, that's in place. Later on we'll tighten this up. Then, quite simply, we just shove it through the hub shell, wriggle it through. Okay, I'll do this off camera so I don't slip. Okay, so the free body's in position now, but the pulls are not quite in place. So what you need to do is then get a thin pokey device, hold the end of the free body down. Probably a bit difficult to see this on camera, but there we go. That's in place. Give it a push. There you go. So you can see the O-ring sits right up close, so that's very, very well sealed. And it sits halfway in to the lip here, so that's really nice. It sounds good. It's a bit like a sort of high quality safe that you might hide some sort of illegal money in Switzerland or whatever. It seems very, very sort of reserved rather than aggressive, I think, but sounds high quality at the same time. Next, it's the locking system. Now, as with the difference between the front hub, the front SP hub and the front SL hub, this SL version is far easier to deal with because the flange doesn't cover the micro adjuster, so you can get your fingers in there. The SP version requires a lot of fiddling and some sort of Houdini-like magic to get your fingers down. And you'll find that also with the SP version, you need to wriggle around with spanners and stuff, so you can get little scratches on there over time as you maintain it, which is well annoying on a hub that costs $380, $400. All right. Now, this is the last bit that goes on. Okay, and that's it. There you go. Job done. Getting this adjustment right, you build the wheel up first, put it in your frame, make sure this part is tight by putting a 5mm Allen key in this side, 5mm Allen key in this side and torquing it up. Then you wriggle the wheel from laterally like this. If there's any play, you just tighten this up until the play's gone. Basically, you want to have it just about stopping the play without causing any sort of notching or tightness in the bearings, and then that's it. It's a simple system, but effective. Right then, so as I have said with the front hub, the front SL hub, I haven't ridden this. I've never ridden an SL hub. I've never ridden an Extralite SL hub, so I can't comment directly on this. However, the internals on this are exactly the same as the SP version. The only difference is the hub shell itself. So let's just quickly talk about the difference between the hub shell so we can figure out what's going on. The SP version is just, obviously it's a straight pull system rather than J-bend, and it's wider. That's it. So wider means it's more stable and you can build a stiffer wheel. Okay, we can get into the full details about that in another video if you like, but that's the summary. However, the dimensions of this are still pretty good. The dimensions of this are, where are we? We are talking, it's 17 mil from this flange to the centre, so that's the same as a tune, for example. This flange, the non-drive side, is 39.5 mil to the centre, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's not as wide as the SP, as we say. So the SP is 19 mil from here to here and 42 mil from here to here. So the SP is really wide, which is why people would choose that over this one, perhaps. But this is still respectable, certainly. Weight, this thing is extremely light. It's 134 grams for a rear hub. There's some front hubs that are that. I mean, the Chris King front hub is getting on for that. So this rear hub is really light. If you pair this with the Cyber Front SL, you're going to have a very, very light set of hubs there. Now, let's talk about my experiences with the Cyber Rear SP internals, which will then automatically apply to this hub here because they're the same. Have I had any issues with it? Yes. I've had an issue with a sort of clicking, clacking noise in all of the gears when putting pressure down. Then it was also happening when I was putting the pressure down and then releasing the pressure. So going from, say, like 400 watts down to 200 watts or 150 watts, it would start after the pressure was released. So the first thing I did, of course, was to get in contact with Extralite, who replied quickly, and we spent a fair bit of time sending emails to each other, trying to work out what was going on. And the guy was really, really seemed eager to get it sorted, and we worked through all sorts of different things. It turns out that the issue was with this end cap and the micro adjuster, I believe. Now, at first, I thought what was happening was the micro adjuster was coming undone over time, which meant that there was potential for moving or shifting of the axle inside the bearing races, which meant that when you put the power down, it twisted it in one way, and then when we released it, it moved a bit open, and then it can cause some sort of clacking and clicking and all that kind of stuff. The first thing I did was I put a tiny, tiny bit of very light Loctite thread lock, not like super glue or anything like that, just a bit of extra stuff there. Did it up to give that a bit more friction, a bit more tension, even though he's got an O-ring in there already. That seemed to fix it for a while, but then it came back after a while. So I took this off and cleaned out the Loctite, put it back on, and then I checked out this side. So I tightened it up more tight than it was before. That really seemed to sort it on a long ride. So that I then did a shorter experiment where I took my bike out the front of my apartment, undid this a lot, not so it was like rattling around, but so it was definitely loose. Rode up and down the road, and the clicking and clacking was like ridiculous. I tightened it up a little bit, less clicking, tightened it up fully to where it should be, no clicking. So it was an issue with the bearing compression. I think what was happening really, I think this side was actually all right because it's got the O-ring in it, and it's a nylon unit on metal, so there'd be some sort of intermaterial binding there to hold it together. I think this is the issue here. I think this end piece here, unless you do it up properly and tight, now that doesn't mean go mental, but don't actually do it to its correct Newton meters over time, and if you're putting force through the free body, that can cause that to move a bit to open up. Now, as we mentioned in the tune video, this compression system is far superior in that you can adjust it rather than having to bugger around with little washers. So it is fixable. That side's threaded and that side's threaded, so it holds itself in both sides. The other issue I had was with, I mean, again, this probably won't be an issue for a lot of people, but just know, on the SP version, this micro adjuster sits half out of the flange that sort of covers it, meaning that when you put your spanner on there, your spanner's only sort of half on it. So when you're initially breaking the seal to open it up, your spanner can kind of slip off the end, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, and it leaves little rips and twisted off bits of plastic there, to the point where I had to order a new one. Now it was only €5 or €3 or something, but still a bit of a bugger. So I ordered a few of them, and I've gone through one more already. I wish that he would extend that by about 3 or 4 mil on the SP version, or even on this one as well. It won't add much more weight, and it would mean that the spanner has a far better purchase there. Those are the only two issues I've had. Building it up into a wheel is really nice. The spokes seem to sit really, really nicely in these machined holes. He's really thought about it. The bearings are smooth. On the SP version though, when I did it up tight enough to stop the clicking, it meant that the bearing wasn't as smooth as it used to be. I don't know if that's wear and tear or whatever, but you know, something to think about. So that's it really. This is about as light as a rear hub gets. The SP version's about 5 grams lighter, but well, 5 grams, what's that? This is really good.